We are ready to go. Good afternoon. This is a hearing of the Chatham Conservation Commission being held on July 13th, 2022, in accordance with the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Town of Chatham Wetlands Protection Bylaw and Regulations. My name is Bob Rawls, and I serve as the chair. Hearings are broadcast live on Channel 18 and are also recorded for the on-demand archives available on the town's website. Today's hearing is being conducted in person and by remote video conference. Remote meetings are currently allowed by the governor's authorization through July 15th, 2 more days. The agenda and copies of documents for review today are posted on the town's website. To all participants, after hearing from applicants, representatives, and interested parties, I'll ask for comments and questions from commissioners. Please remain muted unless you are speaking. If you're attending by phone, mute using *6 and use *6 again to unmute. If you're on the Teams platform, indicate that you wish to speak by using the raise hand feature. If you're attending by phone, please unmute with *6 and address the chair. When recognized, please identify yourself for the record. If you're not a commissioner and you are on the Teams platform, please keep your camera turned off unless you're speaking. The commission will vote on each matter by roll call so that we have a record of a quorum. I'll now ask each commissioner to indicate their presence. Vice Chair Bob Delecchio.
Present.
Janet Williams.
Present.
Karen Latin. Not here today. Mary Sullivan.
Present.
Elise Gordon.
Present.
And Cheryl Meservey,
Present.
who I'll just note is for today, for the first time, a full voting member. So congratulations to Cheryl. And I'm here, and we do have a quorum. This being the second Wednesday of the month, we must finish today's hearing by 4:30. And even though I don't think it's going to be a problem due to the rather short agenda, but due to another broadcast on Channel 18, this gives us 3.5 hours for our business. So if we have to, we'll have to cut short some of the discussions if they go on for too long. Nikki Smith, Chatham's conservation agent, will now lead us through the agenda.
All right, first we have the notices of intent. We'll have 2 continuances, 20 Jericho and 470 Shore Road, but we'll get to those when they come up. The first one is 67 Capri Lane, Minglewood Homes, map 13C, parcel 28C10, SE10 3560, demo of the existing dwelling and construction of a new dwelling, pool, patio, and Title V sewage system.
David Clark from Clark Engineering for the record. Just one note on 20 Jericho Lane. The agenda states that it's to be continued indefinitely. We had asked for the 27th, so I think it was just a mix-up on the agenda. But that being said, on Capri Lane, here on behalf of the applicant, Minglewood Homes. With me today is Bill Riley and Jennifer Crawford from Crawford Land Management. So Minglewood Homes would like to purchase this property and demolish the existing house and construct a new dwelling. The resource areas are basically bordering vegetated wetland that directly discharges to the oyster pond to the north. As you can see on the site plan, we're proposing a modest increase in the size of the dwelling, a little over 280 square feet. The existing paved driveway that's on the north side of the house accesses a drive-under garage. We're eliminating that in its entirety and creating a new pervious driveway with 2 parking spaces up at street level. We've tried to keep the redevelopment within the already disturbed areas of the lot. Primarily, everything that's being upgraded or replaced is within existing lawn area. Other than lawn, there are existing foundation plantings that would be removed as part of construction. The current owners have been patiently waiting for sewer to come down Capri Lane. I think they've been waiting 5 or 6 years now, and finally they can't wait any longer, so they put the property on the market. The current house is served by a cesspool, which we believe is probably in groundwater at this point, which is located to the rear of the house. So we're proposing a new Title V system as far away from the resource area as we could possibly get it, up close to Capri Lane. We would like to go closer to Capri Lane and ask the Board of Health for a 5-foot variance, but unfortunately the water main is on that side of the road, and because of the extensive overdig that will be required for the leach field, we don't want to be in the position of undermining that water main. So we're maintaining the 10-foot separation from the system to the street. The system is the narrowest leaching facility that can be placed on this lot, which maximizes the setback to the BVW. This property is actually 2 separate lots, and the current owners were marketing it as an existing house and a vacant lot. After a survey was done, it was realized that the vacant lot didn't hold much development potential, so they took upon themselves to merge the properties at the assessor's office. So rather than seeing 2 houses here, you're looking at a reconstruction and slight expansion of the existing cottage. The existing cottage is by far the smallest house on Capri Lane. Capri Lane was developed back in the 1950s as small vacation homes. Most all of them have been redeveloped at this point. The current owners inherited the property from the spouse's mother, who was a teacher for a long time here in Chatham. I had her back in 6th grade. But anyways, it is the last house in the neighborhood, I believe, to be redeveloped. And so not only do we need to go to the Board of Health for relief for setback requirements for the septic system, it also has to go to Zoning Board of Appeals. And I'm not sure when that is scheduled. I am pretty certain it's not tomorrow. I think it's later this month or August. If there's any questions regarding the site plan, I'll be happy to answer them. Again, Jen Crawford is here to talk about the land management and mitigation plan.
Any immediate questions about the site plan, or should we hear from everyone? Yeah, let's go ahead and hear from Jen.
All right, good afternoon. For the record, Jen Crawford from Crawford Land Management. So we were asked to make an assessment of the property from a vegetation standpoint, wildlife habitat standpoint, and to propose mitigation measures for the project. We felt, after taking a look at everything, that the best mitigation that we could provide in this case would be to revegetate the area of the existing driveway, as it is in the no disturb zone from the BVW on the north side of the property. So that is where our mitigation area is shown on our plan. In terms of existing vegetation on site, it is almost all comprised of invasive or non-native species. We took a crack at being able to replace naturalized area where the septic is going to go. That area, as Dave said, is as close to the as close to the property line and as far away from the resource area, that BVW there on the west side, as it can be. So the area that it's taking up is currently naturalized, but again, it's all invasive species or aggressive species. And so we have provided revegetation of that area with a native plant community that will still be conducive to the function of the septic system. So there is only basically a net addition here of naturalized vegetation to the properties. Or property, I guess, at this point. And our work is really relatively straightforward. The only notable thing, I guess, is that there is a fairly large oak within the limit of work where the septic system is slated to go. And in coordination with Dave Clark in his office, we discussed whether or not that oak tree would actually need to be removed in order to install the septic system. And we thought that we, with the right protection measures, could very likely preserve enough area for that oak tree to remain in place. So our plan shows it as an oak tree to be protected and preserved during construction, as well as having notes added to our plan for tree preservation to help ensure that that oak will remain there. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions about our supplemental information on this project.
Okay, thank you. Bill, do you have stuff you want to say?
Well, I can talk for 20 minutes, but I
Yeah,
won't say
well,
anything of
about-
interest, so but I believe we're on schedule for August 11th for the zoning board. Oh, so Bill Riley on behalf of Minglewood, but I want to point out that the owners are here also, the Segersons in the back row. And then in the small world department, Tim Smith also had Mrs. Klozik in the 6th grade. And Mr. Segerson and I are high school classmates.
Good to know. We'll write that into the
Please
findings.
do.
It is a small town. All right, so that is it. Is anybody eager to go first? Anybody down here? No? Move to my left? No? All right, so I can start off well. So this is I think it was pointed out in the materials, this is primarily in the resource area. The coverage in NDZ is increasing by 381, but it's pretty clear that it's a constrained lot. And so it's one of those cases where, in my mind, it's hard to avoid what appears to be a relatively modest increase. So I don't have much, personally, I don't have much of an issue with that. I guess my questions have mostly to do with the fact that the surrounding, Jen, I think you mentioned that it was basically surrounded by invasives. I would characterize it as the property is surrounded by a sea of invasives, tall as your head and taller. And my overarching question is, how can whatever you put in there in terms of mitigation or restoration not be, whenever you turn your back, instantly overcome by the adjacent invasives and thereby pointless?
Right, that's a good question. Part of that has to do with being allowed to continue maintaining the project areas and holding that boundary, whether it be at the edge of a mitigation area, at the edge of the limit of work where we're restoring over the septic, or it be at a property line. We encounter that on basically every project that we're doing restoration work on, and that maintenance is extremely important and critical in order for us to be able to continue to hold that line. One of the methods that we can use to help within that maintenance would be to introduce a mow strip. We could do that, but again, if the mow strip isn't maintained any better than any other sort of treatment methods, it doesn't work. So we just have to rely on the fact that that the owners of the property will want to continue to see parts of their property in a much healthier ecological state, I guess.
Right. So I think we've talked about mow strips in these hearings before. Are they useful or are they not? Do they do anything to protect? Do they not? And I think the jury
They're
might...
useful if they're, yeah, I mean, I think that they're a useful technique if they're maintained and if they're actually used as such and kept up with, just like any sort of maintenance routine. But it's
How wide of
to be seen.
How wide of a strip would you think would be useful?
Honestly, it depends on the species that you're up against, so to speak. You and I both know that bittersweet is one of those things that can creep very, very quickly. But I think a combination of a mower width, 30 inches, 30 to 40 inches, in combination with the ongoing maintenance and maintenance notes that we have added to our plan, if those things are contracted and allowed to continue, then I don't see any reason why these areas can't be successful as restoration and mitigation areas.
And I would point out that at the price range that these properties are, this type of property would be sold, there'll be a professional landscaper maintaining the property. I'm pretty sure the owner's not going to be out there mowing the grass. So I think, adding a mow strip and just bringing it to their attention at the time of passing a title is as good a way as any to ensure that it's maintained and the invasives are held at bay.
Right, if we had it as an ongoing condition.
Right.
Janet?
Yeah. Just so the commission knows, in terms of our work, ongoing conditions, especially when certificates of compliance are granted, is a really great way for companies like ours to be able to continue maintaining a property without having to have homeowners incur costs of coming back with completely new notice of intent applications just for maintenance work. Some of the other towns operate like that, and it becomes increasingly difficult for us to get contracts to maintain some of these older restoration projects when a client has to spend a ton of upfront money to come back to you with an application. So ongoing conditions for companies like mine and for maintenance work like this are very, very helpful in being able to continue making sure that the projects are successful.
Right, okay.
Just as
Yeah, that's
a
good.
side note.
Good to know. That it varies town by town. So a follow-up question, if we think that most strips are going to be useful in this case, is how does that affect your mitigation plan? In other words, the area that's mitigated. Do you count the most
Honestly,
strip as part of the mitigation or not?
It could happen either way. I think that would be the easiest thing to do, would be to just either for us to add a note to our plan that says, as part of the maintenance, a pass with a mower along the edge of the restoration and mitigation area can be implemented as a part of the maintenance regime, so to speak. I think that would be a very simplistic way to do it, and I don't think that is going to decrease the amount of naturalized area. It's still naturalized, and native grasses will still be established there. It's just really a method to help keep other things at bay.
Mm-hmm. Janet is eager to say something about
No, I
this.
just,
Go ahead.
unusually. No, I just wanted to respond, Jen, to what you were saying, because you may have noticed that in recent months, our orders of condition where mitigation areas border invasive areas, we have added an ongoing condition to continue maintaining and use some vigilance in keeping after any invasives that are threatening to get in. I think a mow strip, looking at the configuration and size of this mitigation area, a mow strip up against the property line makes a lot of sense, because I don't know how else you would be able to access the rear part of the mitigation to be able to monitor to see if, and that's the part that where the invasion will happen first. So I think in this case, that makes a lot of sense. So those two conditions, the mow strip and the ongoing condition for maintenance and removal of any invasives, I think is, at the moment, the best we can do.
Agreed. All right, so just since I'm went first, I'll ask my remaining questions. The notes for I think the mitigation or maybe the restoration talks about using untreated dyed mulch, and I don't know what that is or why that is part of it. Why dyed?
I think that is actually supposed to indicate untreated or undyed wood chips,
Undyed,
meaning
oh,
that
okay.
meaning that they're dye-free. So that's just a small miscommunication on our part. But yes, there would be no reason to use any sort of dyed wood chips. It's simply, that note on the plan is simply to help protect the critical root zone around that oak tree where the septic system is going, so.
Right, yeah, okay, good. So if you are going to be submitting revised materials, if you could just correct that,
Sure.
just for the record. So basically the foundation plants, I think there's a note that says 38% of those will be native, which obviously, being the Conservation Commission, we would enjoy seeing that percentage go up. Is there any way for that to be done? And as a follow-up question to that, is that in terms of plants, number of plants, or an area covered? Is that percentage?
So in this particular case, I was not the landscape architect
that's
on
with-
this
Andrew, it's Andrew
project.
Garley.
That's what the other, that's
Yeah.
what the landscape plan, I'm sorry. So is there anyone here for representing them?
David Clark here. Andrew Garrelay is on vacation and
Oh, I see.
make a meeting. But what was the question?
The question is, is it possible to increase the percentage of native plants in the non-mitigation areas? In other words, the foundation / landscape / traditional landscaping area to more than 38%?
I believe Tim Smith is on the line. If Tim doesn't mind, answering that,
I think the issue is that we need a continuance to be able to have a conversation with Andrew Garrelay. I mean, Tim can answer the question now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Andrew put those native plants in there as the foundation plant. We don't have a problem with doing more than that for the foundation plantings. He's got what's marked in red here are the native species.
It's just a question of increasing the percentage
Right.
of native species, and the answer is
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
Sure. Sure, would you like to go to 50% or would 50% be better?
50% we have sort of informally been happy with.
Okay.
In past and in
Sure.
fact, I think even this landscaper has
Yep,
often given us that percentage at least.
okay, so we'll do 50%.
And so we'll submit a revised landscape plan in
That
time
sounds-
for your first meeting in August.
Yeah,
Okay,
that'd be delightful, thank you.
sure.
Just on that note, real quick, I wouldn't mind if some of the hydrangeas were what was replaced with
Yeah.
the natives.
Awful
There's
lot
a
of
lot of
them.
hydrangeas, and
Okay.
they take a lot of water.
A lot of
There's,
water.
you know, the watering
Absolutely.
ban now and everything, so.
Right, yep.
Okay, I'm going to stop talking for the moment, but let's let somebody else. Mary, I see your.
Yeah, and I'm going to ask the question knowing there may not be an answer to it. With regards to the sewer coming in, when is the current estimate, and then more importantly, what happens to this property when sewer is available?
Well, so there are two problems with sewer at this location. The pipe currently ends just before Capri Lane. And the reason why it ends there is that if it continues further, they need a pump station because, you know, that's at a high point on Cedar Street. So it goes down and then goes back up again. The low point has a wetland on both sides. So they're struggling with where to put a pump station. And because to run the sewer down Capri Lane also requires a pump station, everything's on hold until they figure out where to put the pump station on Cedar Street. So candidly, we just don't know how long it's gonna take. And when it does come in, my grandchildren will be thrilled. This property will be given a certain amount of time to hook up. And I think that would depend on how recent the septic system on the property is. Because the Board of Health likes to give the property owners, a way to sort of recoup the cost of the septic system, because it costs about $10,000 to hook into the sewer system. So that's been my experience. I don't know, Dave Clark I'm sure has more experience than that, but that would be my understanding.
David Clark here. Yeah, everything that Bill said is pretty much my understanding. Right now, the Board of Health policy for systems with IA technology allows a homeowner to recoup the investment over 10 years. So if the sewer comes in 5 years from now, in theory, the Board of Health would give them 5 years to hook up. Personally, I don't know why somebody would want to do that. The operation and maintenance of these systems are $1,800 a year. And the sewer charges are substantially lower than that. So it's probably in the homeowner's or the owner at that time's best interest to hook up as soon as possible. But
Thank you.
Anybody else? To my right?
Sure, I have a few questions. Bill, for you, I just want to confirm that, I think David said, and I'd like to hear you confirm it, that these are no longer legally 2 lots, it's a single lot, so that even if and when the sewer comes in, that what is now called Lot 0 is not developable.
That's correct. I mean, the property owners made a decision to combine the lots into a single lot, so.
Okay, because it would change the percentages significantly
Well,
of coverage if it was
Yes, yeah,
the half.
basically, it would, the lots are combined, so you can't recreate the lot.
Right,
Because then you're creating a new subdivision or new division, and it can't comply with current zoning requirements, so.
okay, just wanted to make sure that was clear. Jen, so looking at the mitigation plan, I'm wondering why, I mean, I know you chose the area to the north because it's contiguous to a wetland area, but the fact is the entire western side is also contiguous to a wetland. The large area in the south side, what we're referring to as Lot 0, you characterize as existing naturalized, but you also said it was heavily invaded. And I'm wondering, since a third or a quarter of a third of that is being disturbed for the septic system, why wouldn't you restore that whole area, which would be a larger area? It would be less vulnerable to being invaded by adjacent invasives. So I'm looking at the map, that's what struck me, is like that would be the obvious mitigation area.
So, yeah, I mean, my company would love to restore that entire lot. That would be great. For this particular project, though, we were tasked with providing mitigation for the project. So we followed, your mitigation regulations and guidelines in order to arrive at that square footage, and made sure that we were having no net loss of naturalized area due to the septic needing to be replaced. So, if the new property owner buys this and likes the look of the restoration areas versus the tangle of invasives, I would love for them to continue with us and for me to be able to come back to you and propose a larger restoration project, because the larger the area, you're right, it makes it easier to maintain, and it makes it more valuable and more viable.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, but in reality, Janet, it's a cost item.
Okay, I figured that. I just wanted to, but having said that, so the area that's going to be restored, while not technically part of the mitigation that's offered for the project, will be planted with natives and is similarly at risk because it is adjacent to. So I would want to put in there that a mow strip and some diligence would be required to preserve that area, understanding that it's not mitigation, but it's a restored area.
Sure, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. And also,
Jan-
oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, just so you know, our intent with our plan was that the mitigation area and then what I guess I'm calling the restoration area over the septic be treated in the same manner, because both of them are basically going to be restoration areas that are where we're not doing invasive species management. The area to the north that we've called out as mitigation is currently a driveway. So we have to actually remove the gravel and any base in there in order to turn that into a naturalized area. And the septic area clearly will be a construction area that will get restored afterwards. So both of them, the intent with the plan is that both of those areas will be treated the same in terms of needing maintenance, being seeded with the same species, and then the plant compositions within them are a little different just because the septic area has a different requirement. But the intent would be that they both be naturalized areas.
Right, understood. So it's not unusual for an order of conditions to refer to mitigation areas and restoration areas similarly but separately, so that it's clear that they're.
Correct.
There's a large tree just to the west of the proposed pool area that has a light green, I think it is, ribbon tied to one of its branches. Is that signifying removal of that? It's covered in a lot of vines. I can't determine the health of that tree, but it's a large, do you know what tree it is, Bob, what kind it is?
Weeping willow.
Thank you, see?
Yep.
Is that
And
staying or going?
that is not proposed for removal. That's, I assume, and Dave probably knows, but it's on the edge of the wetland there. I believe where it kind of bumps into the property, on the south of the pool area, so to speak. So I think it was probably a wetland flag,
Okay.
would be my guess.
Okay, that's what all right, fine. I have a question about the driveway. On one of the plans, I think it's the landscape plan, it's referred to as a crushed stone driveway with a cobble apron. In the narrative, it's referred to as paved. David or can someone clarify what the new driveway material will be?
Had to unmute myself.
Ah.
That's an error in the narrative. It's to be a pervious driveway.
Okay, so it's the crushed stone cobble, and it does say at the edge of it on the landscape, proposed asphalt apron. So where the cobblestones meet the street, that's going to be asphalt?
Yeah,
Yes, Capri Lane's a town road, so we're required to have an asphalt apron.
Okay, so it's all three there, but most of it's crushed stone, okay. I think that's all I have for the moment until I find something. Thank you.
Something else? All right. Which one?
Jen, speaking of the weeping willow, that's a pretty dirty tree, and it's to the left or to the west of the proposed pool. So I think you'll constantly have leaves falling into the pool. So, have you thought about that at all?
I haven't, because I am not the landscape architect on this one, so I wasn't thinking about the pool at all, to be quite honest with you. But I'm sure if there, are branches that end up overhanging areas and become problematic, that would be something that a new homeowner would likely be able to come to you with an administrative review to do pruning work or whatever might be the case as this gets constructed.
Okay.
David Clark here. The other consideration is this is really the only place on the property that we can put a pool. Because there's not a pool there now, any new pool has to meet the zoning setback requirements, and we're in the R40 zoning district, so it has to be 25 feet from property line or the Inland Conservancy District and 40 feet from the street. So really where we show the pool is the only place on the property we can put a pool unless we go out into the vacant lot. So we tried to keep it as close to the house as possible and get, it's a very small pool at this point, but we really made an effort not to go into that vacant lot, but we really had to because of the septic system. But again, that's really the only intrusion that we're proposing at this point.
So what are your thoughts
Okay,
about that
and
tree?
The lawn, will that be irrigated? I don't know, anybody can answer that question.
We'd like to irrigate the small section of it out front if possible,
Up front, but not out back,
not out back.
not out in the NDZ.
Can I ask you a question? Just on that tree? You know, that tree is definitely, it's a dirty tree, but it's also overwhelmed with vines. I did talk to the neighbor up in the back, and a bunch of limbs are broken off of it. We'd like to kind of clean that tree up, if that would be possible. Get the vines out of it, cut those out, get those out, and try to clean that up as much as possible. I don't think that would make sense to try to, it's a tough tree. It's been there a long time. It's definitely in tough shape. I don't know if it would make sense, you know, to.
It always makes sense to get vines off of trees.
Right, get that out of there, clean that up and take off some of these snapped off dead limbs that are hanging there. We'd like to clean it up if possible.
Yeah, should definitely clean it up.
Okay?
We just are, cutting it down is a whole different thing. But
Yeah.
Right. We won't cut it down, but we'll clean it up.
Perfect.
So just irrigation on the front of the property. And the patio is going to be pervious?
Yes.
And how will that drain?
We have strip drains going in there, and that he's got a strip drain at the driveway edge as well as on the back side of that. So that'll drain into a dry well.
Well, of course, if it's pervious, most of it'll drain through the patio,
Right.
we hope.
We hope is right. I think that's all I had at the moment. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. I do have one more question. And that is, there are two trees coming out. I guess this is for Jen, I think. One is a non-native. I think it's described as a non-native silver maple. And I think I had I wish I'd gone back and looked at this more closely, but I had the impression that that was not necessarily being replaced.
So there are two trees. You'll see that the silverleaf, you guys call them silverleaf. I've never heard that before. It's so funny. But the white poplar is
that-
actually,
all right.
Same thing.
Okay.
yeah, is actually over the property line technically, and it's a non-native aggressive tree that we typically ask permission to remove and to manage. The other tree is a black cherry tree, so we did provide mitigation for the removal of that black cherry tree right on the property line there near the 100-foot buffer line, and that's why you see the red maple in our mitigation area.
Right. So this is just a point of discussion, you being in the business, and that is, in your view, is a non-native tree lacking ecological value altogether?
No, of course not. But I don't believe that non-native species or invasive species can have the potential to provide as high quality ecological services basically for wildlife as natives, which is why the emphasis is put on native species. The white poplar are, they're pretty aggressive. Chatham is kind of the mecca for white poplar on Cape. You don't see them in nearly the quantities or the stands in other places on Cape as you do in Chatham. So for whatever reason, whoever decided to start planting white poplar there has created a little legacy with it on Cape, I think.
Well, I just to be clear, my point is, should they be replaced with a native?
I don't think that and Tim can probably speak to this, but I don't think that we would have any issue adding one more red maple to the mitigation area, and that would provide a replacement tree, a native replacement for a non-native species, which I think is always a good thing.
Yeah, it's always a good thing. Yeah, I appreciate that. And would it be possible, is an oak a possibility? The only
An
reason,
oak would
and the only
be a
reason
possibility?
the only reason I say it is because we know that they're the species of tree that supports the highest diversity of insect life.
Tim has indicated he's agreeable to adding an additional tree.
Okay. And hopefully an oak. Good, thank
I
you.
can make it an oak tree.
Yeah, thanks. And I mean, I had a larger issue because I've seen this before where sometimes mitigation plans don't, they call for removing an invasive species of tree or whatever, and then, or a tree, let's say, and they don't even think it's worth replacing with a native. And I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that, because from my perspective, it still has some habitat value.
I definitely don't disagree with that. I think when it comes to restoration projects, there are plant communities that are in much less abundance on Cape than our woodland and forested systems. And I think that other plant communities that are in less abundance can provide, in a lot of cases, a lot higher quality wildlife habitat value. So sometimes we see fit to change that plant community type because I think it does bring higher wildlife habitat value. In this particular case, if the commission, would like replacement for that canopy species lost, even though it's not native, I think the addition of another tree is perfectly acceptable.
Okay, good, thank you.
I have a clarification question, because I'm trying to make sense of the three different plans. And I'm looking at what's referred to as the solid wood pool enclosure fence. And I'm not sure who, this is probably for Andrew, if he designed this. But on his plan, it appears that that fence surrounds the entire patio and pool area. Am I seeing that right? It's not called out. It's hard to tell from the others. There's also a retaining wall, and I can't tell whether the fence is on, how those two integrate.
So this small pool will have a cover on it, a safety cover.
An auto
but
cover, yeah.
There's an auto cover, but it also will have to have a fence coming across from the, I'm gonna say the south corner, and it will run around the pool up to the house, because you're gonna need to, it's a 4 foot drop there, so you wouldn't want people to fall off, so that's why that fence is going on top of that pool level.
And is there a retaining wall, so there's a retaining wall and the fence is on top of it? For that 4 foot drop?
Yes, yep, the retaining wall is up on top of that patio.
Okay. And the pool, so the fence around the pool is on top of the wall. At any point, is it sitting on top of the ground?
No,
Okay.
nope, it runs right from the corner to corner. From the
Okay.
corner of the house here, here, round, and come over to here, and then,
Yeah, you gotta step back.
don't touch
You
that.
just got the knock.
Sorry about that.
No, it's the microphone.
Okay, so, that's where it will run.
Okay, so, all right.
I have one more question, Bob. For Jen,
Yeah, I'm sorry, that's it. Thank you. Thank you.
the mitigation areas, how will they be marked?
Oh, you mean the
Demarcated.
well,
Yeah.
the 50
Any
buffer line.
demarcation?
Sure. We didn't propose any, but we certainly can if we have to come back to you with a revised plan anyway. I can speak with Tim about that, and we can indicate something on the plan that has been approved by you guys in the past, whether it be a single rail, split rail, or whatever the case is. So I can work out that detail with Tim and bring something back to you.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Anything else? Maybe? No, I thought you were,
No, I'm just, I mean, I understand the constraints on this lot, given its location, its narrowness, and the fact that it's bordered on two sides by wetlands, so there aren't many options. It's just hard for me to wrap my head around approving a large patio and a pool in the no disturb zone. It's a hard one to do, but we'll have to make the findings that there are no feasible alternatives to doing that. So here's a question for you, Mr. Riley. There's a reference in the alternatives analysis that there's no alternative location that achieves the project purposes. How would you characterize the purpose of this project?
Oh, providing sufficient recreation space outside the building. I mean, it's a small building. And the the patio gives them a living space where they can recreate. I mean, they, as you say, if they're recreating in the 0 to 50, then, that is treated really as a form of disturbance as well. And so, I mean, it seems to me, as we've said, it's a small house, and, they just need some space outside. I mean, there's really no room between the house and the road. There's no room at the rear of the house. And with the southern portion of the property being almost 100% in the 0 to 50, we just have really nowhere else to recreate. So that'd be my elucidation.
Thank you, appreciate that, because we do have to make these findings, so
Right, no, I appreciate that as well.
getting,
Yeah, it always is hard for us to prove an increase in the NDZ, but in this particular case, and we've had cases where there's no good reason. In this particular
Well,
case,
but this is one of the situations where we've run into many times over the years. So these folks bought these lots back in the 50s, and the zoning bylaw and the conservation laws have all changed, and they went from being a place where you could build a nice summer cottage to being a place where, if you're careful, you can have native species growing around and being at war with invasives, but you can't actually build anything. So I think what they're proposing is actually a pretty good balance under those circumstances.
no, I agree, that's the way it strikes. That's, my point was, I think in this particular case, it's commensurate with the size and shape of the property, and it's a modest
Right,
hardscape, not an Olympic-sized swimming pool, et cetera.
right.
So it doesn't trouble me as nearly as much as many that we've seen, so.
David Clark here. One of the discussions I had with Tim Smith at the beginning was that we wanted to make our best effort to stay off that vacant lot. Unfortunately, because of the sewer, we had to go in there with a septic, but we also considered the vacant lot for the pool and the patio. There's no setback requirement for the patio, and we could have certainly proposed moving the pool and the patio over there. But one of the advantages of this design is when sewer does come down this road and we hook up, that vacant lot will pretty much be a vacant lot again. We can at that time, we can remove the pump chamber and the septic tank. We could probably, because the leach field is stone, we can abandon it in place, but we can remove those two structures and the vacant lot will become a vacant lot again.
Right, there's a,
and to do what with, David?
Well, you can't do anything with it.
Right, so I'm wondering why, because you've said this a couple times, and it's also in the narrative, why going to such pains to preserve it as a...
As a form of mitigation, I mean, obviously we can't go in there and build new structures in the future. I imagine somebody could ask, but it's highly unlikely, given that what we're proposing now, that any future commission would allow an encroachment into that lot. So that's where we're coming from.
yeah, and being vacant, there's at least the theoretical possibility of returning it all native one day by somebody,
I have that vision, I'm hoping.
but theoretical. Okay, so we have, we've asked for, and I think we've had agreement on some relatively modest modifications to mitigation
so
plan, mostly having to
Continue to
do.
the next meeting?
Pardon?
Continue to the next meeting,
Yes,
and we'll submit the revised plans from Andrew and from Jen.
yeah, okay, yeah, to cut it short, yeah. When would that be?
27th, like with everything else.
That's going to be, it's already getting full.
Well, I would, Andrew, David Clark here. Andrew's on vacation. He won't be back till Monday. That'll only give him 2 days to revise the plan to be on for the 27th. Since we're not going to zoning board till, what, the second week of August, Bill?
I think it's the 11th.
The 11th. Could we take this up at your working meeting? I don't think any of the changes are substantial.
No, I agree.
I-
I agree. I'm not opposed to that personally. Yep.
Yeah,
What date is that, Nikki?
third. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, great.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
I guess we have to vote.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we continue 67 Capri Lane to the work session on August 3rd, 2022.
Williams, second.
Roll call vote, Bob.
Aye.
Janet.
Aye.
Cheryl.
Aye.
Elise.
Aye.
Mary.
Aye.
And I vote aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next is 20 Jericho Lane, Mark Leibovitz, map 10B, parcel B2, SE 103541, removal of the existing pier and relocation and reconstruction of a new pier. So we had had this as indefinitely because it kept popping up and we kept not having new information. So they had, so at the, I believe our last meeting, the commission had decided we are just going to continue and you can notify abutters when you have new information. But if you're ready for, if you think you'll actually have something on July 27th, we can continue it to then. So it's up to Dave, did David Clark leave? Yep, looks like it.
Is he not here?
Nope, you're not there.
Yeah, looks like it.
I think Bill mentioned it, didn't he? The 27th?
Yeah, I wrote that down, that's what Bill said.
Wonder if we can get him back in again. He's right there in the lobby there.
Yeah, what did he say? Oh, was it David or Bill?
That's what he said just now, but at our last meeting, we had said, we're not putting this on an agenda anymore. So,
Today, he said it.
so yeah, if they want the 27th,
Could you
then.
grab Bill out?
I just don't want to keep putting it on if,
Yeah, I agree, but if it looks like something actually may happen.
Are we allowed to continue
Thank you.
indefinitely? I just thought about
No,
that.
would-
no, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Question, Bill, about 20 Jericho Lane. As to whether or not, did we hear correctly that there's something coming relatively soon? that-
We haven't had decisions made by the applicant yet. So we've had lengthy discussions about what to do with the dock. And, there's we just haven't been able to reach a resolution yet that, we can recommend to him. So I think that's why they requested a sort of a general continuance, but,
Yeah, I don't believe we can just,
no, you can't.
Can't do that.
I saw that, I said, nobody asked
it'd be
me.
nice if we could, right? But don't think we can.
You have to continue to a specific date,
Yeah, state certain, as they say.
a date certain, right, so.
So Nikki was reminding us that the last time we said this is kind of the end of the road for continuing this.
Well, I can appreciate that. I just don't know what the point is in, you terminate it and then they file a new application that's a little different than the first one, because now we're no longer talking about building a new dock, but, or moving it, but all we do is file a new application,
Yeah.
so it's more paperwork for staff.
But it sounds like you don't have any sort of reasonable timeframe for
Well,
coming back?
What I would suggest is I go out, 6 or 8 weeks, and if they haven't made a decision by then I guess that would be an appropriate time to terminate it. But I can tell you this, there are a lot of ongoing conversations about what to do. And so I've kind of checked out. I don't know if David's been involved. I mean, it's really a discussion between the builder and the property owner. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? We just can't pin the guy down. So
Okay, well, we could postpone it for 2 months and
Okay.
then never again. How's that sound?
and that would be fair.
Okay, yeah, let's do
That
that.
would be September 14th, 8 weeks.
But this
So-
time, we really,
You really mean it.
And by then, imagine that, summer's over by then.
basically, yeah. Okay,
I'll move that we continue. I'll move that we continue 20 Jericho Lane to hearing on September 14th, 2022.
Williams, second.
roll call vote, Bob,
Aye.
Janet,
Aye.
Cheryl,
Aye.
Elise,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
and I vote aye.
All right, next up, we have 470 Shore Road, James Eisenstein, map 15A, parcel A8, SE 103554. Proposed rock revetment reconstruction, vertical and lateral extension, fiber rolls, and site improvements. And they are requesting a continuance to July 27th.
Okay, I move to continue 470 Shore Road to July 27th, 2022.
Williams, second.
Roll call vote, Bob,
Aye.
Janet,
Aye.
Cheryl,
Aye.
Elise,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
and I vote aye.
All right. The following one is a request for a plan change, 146 Strong Island Road, Chris Dietrich, map 13M, parcel 42C45, SE 103530. Elimination of all the fill in the flood area, replace the porch at the rear of the dwelling with a smaller deck and stairs, replace the proposed pool patio with a timber deck, reconfigure the driveway, add a containment wall and an IA, innovative alternative treatment unit to the sewage system. And, yeah.
Good afternoon, John O'Reilly, project engineer, working with Chris Dietrich. We were here in January. You were kind enough to issue an order of conditions for a project. We have since gone through Board of Health review and Zoning Board of Appeals review, and the project has changed. Staff did a great explanation on the changes. We basically removed about 450 square feet of hardscape from the project, from the buffer zone. Major part of it was the elimination of fill and driveway within the front of the property, and the reduction of the patio, or the removal of the patio, and replacing with a deck around the proposed pool. So we've left the mitigation that you've approved exactly as you approved it. We didn't edit that at all. So really, you're looking at a project that's coming back to you with a enhanced treatment, no fill in the floodplain, and then a reduction in hardscape. So I'm hoping it should be speedy, I guess.
There's always the hope.
Always a hope, yes.
Just open it up since I went first last time, if anybody has questions.
I have a quick question.
Quick question.
I'm looking at the plan, and I'm trying to remember where the septic system was located before and whether that location has changed, and I don't see it.
No, great question. The septic system basically stayed in the same general area directly in front of the house.
Right.
The changes were that we added a containment wall to limit the amount of fill on the property. But that was just needed for the septic. But as far as the location of the leaching facility, it's basically where you folks had it.
But I guess my question is, should it be on the plan? If this is going to be the revised plan and it will become the plan of record, shouldn't the location of the system?
Well, it actually is shown on this plan and dashed, and I don't dare go to the screen and get the.
Yeah, no, you'll get
Yes,
knocked-
right,
you'll
right
get
where the
knocked for
cursor
that.
is. Thank you, whoever that is. That is the septic system. We do have a septic system plan prepared, a separate document, and I can provide that to your file so you have it. It
Okay.
basically is a stripped-down version of the plan you have here, just with the septic designed
Mm-hmm.
and laid out.
And so it's an IA system, so it has a denitrification chamber in between the,
Yes.
the two tanks?
Yep. So originally, we were showing a septic tank and a leach field,
Mm-hmm.
what you approved. Now we're showing a septic tank with the innovative technology
Mm-hmm.
and then a leaching field.
Okay, well, for whatever, I guess I'm going to thank the health agent and the Board of Health for bringing about that improvement, and something that we're going to be taking a harder look at lately because of the many problems that excessive nitrogen causes in some of our embayments, so,
Couldn't agree with you more.
yep, okay, thank you.
Yep.
Elise, you had a,
I have a question, and I don't know if I'm, hello, Mr. O'Reilly.
Hello.
Whether I'm looking at this inaccurately or what, but on the original plan, the 50-foot buffer zone hits the 135 mark right in the middle. And then on the updated site, it's way to the right of it, and that's where the pool falls in. So my question was, what's the shift?
Oh, I see, okay.
See what I'm
The-
saying?
The actual label, 135, was moved. So,
Because it was in the wrong place originally?
well, we, again, not getting yelled at.
Yeah.
On the existing plan, the
Yep.
label is here, and we ended up just shifting it up the line.
Okay,
So the resource stayed the same, the buffer zone is exactly the same, existing and proposed. What's throwing you off is the fact that the 135 is shifted on that line.
okay. And what is the 135 referred to?
It's the actual distance of that property line, 135 feet from the front left corner of the lot to the rear left corner of the lot.
So it was inaccurate in the first one?
No. In the first
am I
one,
missing?
it was labeled 135 feet,
Yep,
and in the proposed, it's still labeled 135 feet, but
Right.
that label was physically relocated on the plan. It was just moved,
just the label.
just the label.
Yep.
Okay,
All right?
thank you for that.
That was good catch.
Freakish eye.
I couldn't figure it out when you raised the question, something's different.
I just get concerned with pools in certain spots, that's
should
all.
be. It's good.
I'm not a pool fan.
I got a couple of questions, Bob.
Go for it, Bob.
Short questions. The front walkway to the front door, is that still pervious?
It would be a dry laid walkway, yes.
Okay. And the drainage off the driveway, is that going to be remaining the same?
Yes, we're going to be basically pushing the runoff as it was originally designed to the south of the driveway, and then catching it into that what's going to remain it's just a landscaped area. We're just pushing the water off into that area.
Okay, do I see that on the plan somewhere?
Other than the grading runs in a southerly direction, we're just kind of dumping it into that landscaped area and then letting it take its course.
Okay, so it's pitched in that direction?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Okay, I don't think I have anything else. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think I have the same question that I had for a previous applicant in terms of the fact that I think that there are lots of trees going in for the trees that are being removed, and that's good, but it's 16 cedars and 4 maples of some kind, red maples, I think, or something. I'll ask the same question. Is it possible to swap out some of those cedars for an oak or two?
Yeah, I think, Andrew, as David said earlier, he is on vacation this week. And when we presented the landscape plan originally, I think that question did come up, and Andrew did interchange some species. I think that's what happened, but
Oh, does it, Maybe I don't have the latest version.
No, the plan that I gave you, the latest landscape plan reflects all the changes, the containment wall, the deck removal, the patio removal and all of that. But during the initial review by Conservation, I believe that Andrew either added trees,
Oh, I do think he added trees.
that's what it was.
Yeah, but,
No, I don't think there's an issue with all. We can work with staff and switch out trees.
yeah,
And I can-
that would be appreciated, just to add a little diversity to the
16 is a
trees.
lot.
16 cedars is a bit of a monoculture, and
That would be fine. Yeah, I don't see any reason for that. It seems like a simple change that we can just.
whatever he could do, yeah, to fit one or two in at least.
Yeah, I don't think that's a problem at all, and we can work with staff on that.
Okay, so I don't hear any showstoppers here. Or
Just
Bobby, more?
One quick.
Okay, okay.
The mitigation areas will be demarcated in some way?
I was wondering if that question was coming up, because I heard the earlier hearing. Andrew had proposed a low split rail fence. If you remember this site, Chris Dietrich
Along the
purchased.
back?
Along the back. The lawn per se went into the wetland itself. So Andrew proposed putting in a low rail fence along that and providing some protection to that. So that will be demarcated. And then you heard Jen's comment. We can put another fence or some markers in, but the pool area is pretty self-contained.
Right.
And there's not gonna be an opportunity to walk off the pool area towards the wetland or towards the back of the house. So those, should be pretty isolated, but if the commission wants some additional fencing or some markers, we can certainly accommodate that.
Yes, that would be wonderful. If you could make a note on the plan as well.
So how would you like that note to read? That the mitigation area shall be delineated in some fashion? Okay.
Or demarcated, yes. Thank
Okay.
you.
Either with more split rail, and we appreciate the split rail, that's always the best, that's the best
Stops the mower very
demarcation.
well.
Yeah, it does the job, but in some cases where maybe that's not feasible, or aesthetically, or whatever, some sort of stone markers that just give one an idea that that's a special area.
Okay,
Tells the landscapers, don't whack that spot.
I understand. No problem. I can add that to the plan. And I'll make sure to the gentleman's earlier question about the grading, I'll make sure that is clearly shown that we're pitching the driveway to that one side. So
Okay, thank you.
It's fine, since we're adding stuff to the plan.
All right, some relatively minor changes. It would seem that we could, assuming we would get materials in a timely manner, we go to a work session.
It's just a change in plan, it's not a change in the order of conditions. So we-
Change in, I see, we could just prove
Yep,
today.
so
Yeah, you're
basically
right.
what I would do
Yeah, you're right.
is get the minor changes on the plan that you guys asked for, and then write a letter just to reiterate
Yeah.
that it was approved, and this is the new plan of record, and just to reiterate any concerns that were brought up.
Yep,
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the requested plan change for 146 Strong Island Road.
Williams, second.
roll call vote, Bob,
Aye.
Janet,
Aye.
Cheryl. Elise,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
I vote aye. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you
O'Reilly.
very much. Have a great night.
I know.
Well, hopefully that won't happen.
Thank you very much.
Aye. All right, the next is another request to change the plan, 12 Mistover Lane, Jean Brown, map 17C, parcel 4-46, SC 103540, plan revision to locate the sewage leaching area approximately 76 feet from the top of the coastal bank, replacing a cesspool that is currently 42 feet from the top of the bank.
Good afternoon, this is Taria McGrath with Coastal Engineering here on behalf of the project owner. So as was just summarized, this is a property where a sewage disposal system plan and order of conditions was approved in February by your commission. Since that time, the owner has had a contractor out to look at installation of the system. And due to the existing, this is a very old building, due to the existing building foundation supports and condition around that existing building, it was recommended by the contractor that the proposed leaching system be relocated so that they don't have any kind of impact on that existing building. As such, we've gone back to the design phase on this site, and now we're proposing the leaching system in the position that's shown on the plan that's before you. At closest proximity, it's 76 feet from the top of the coastal bank, and as was mentioned, this is replacing an existing cesspool that's located at 42 feet from the top of the coastal bank. This project has no changes to the existing house or footprint of the house. This is solely a project to replace and remove that existing cesspool and replace it with a Title V septic system.
Okay,
Is there any questions?
well, we'll find out. Let's see. Let's open it up. Janet?
There's a problem, and I'm struggling to figure out the answer to it. Because as I looked at what was approved, the septic system was out of jurisdiction. It was beyond the 100-foot line, and now it's in jurisdiction over that line in the outer aura. Do I have that right? Which changes the order of condition, because the order of condition says there's no impact to any resource area. That's the problem.
The impact, the resource area being that outer aura, the 50 to 100.
Yep. I don't know how we not change the order of conditions to match this. I mean, I have no problem with I understand the desire to move it. I don't have a personal problem with where it's being proposed. It just, I don't know.
Procedurally, how do we handle it?
Procedurally, how do we do that without having to amend the order of conditions? That's what I said.
Nikki, I'm sure, has a solution to this.
Just looking at the old plan, the work limit is, I mean, it's a little different, but more or less staying the same.
And there was some minor work that was within that 50 to 100 for, construction, but also for that proposed liner that's required on the down gradient side of the system. Of course, similar to before, we're looking to replace, improve the grounds so that they match existing conditions. So
Yeah.
everything will be stabilized. We're showing the erosion control more or less in the same position.
I mean, to all intents and purposes, is there an impact, is the question.
I mean, in the end, once it's revegetated, you're not going to, it's not like there's a building there, it's underground, we're not going to see it. So, I mean, I'm not,
It was grass, it will remain grass.
yeah.
You can't see it.
Is that hedge, that's a privet hedge?
Yes.
That was a hedge of contention.
It was the
Yeah,
hedge of
that was the
contention.
hedge of
So
It was
is
the
it gonna,
hedge that was worth
since it's gonna,
dying for, as
it's
I
gonna be
recall.
replaced in kind, will it be replaced with a native in kind?
Well, I don't think they need to replace it anymore.
It says
Yeah,
replace,
Oh, wait a minute.
it says replace hedge and lawn in kind.
Oh,
And that will be, as necessary. The hope is that we don't have to remove it.
yeah, we went round and round on that last time. There was just a corner of the hedge that was going to be replaced, and somebody associated with the project very, 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 very much wanted to keep that privet there, which we, of course, don't
Yes,
like.
the privet is very important to
Very,
the,
very, very, very important, yeah.
the owner.
Yep. So, yeah, what's happening with the hedge? replace in kind, in other words, replace any damaged privet with more privet? Is that the idea?
Well, the thought is we're going to try to avoid having impact on it. What's been in discussion on the side is that if it is going to be damaged, will it be taken out for some time and then transplanted back into that position? I believe in the past discussions, there may have been some consideration of a California privet. I don't know, is that,
Not invasive.
trying to recall if that was acceptable as a replacement.
Depends on who you talk to.
Then one that's more
Certainly
native.
not, certainly not native to the East Coast, right? Just by the name.
Yeah.
Just as, looking at the order of conditions that was entered, it does say that the existing hedge shall be replaced with a native hedge, since the existing hedge is considered invasive. So that's where we landed on that.
And we would be, the intent is hopefully it can stay in place. How did that read? It read that it would be,
Yeah.
as part of the condition.
Special, let me get it right back in front of me. Special condition 2, the existing hedge shall be replaced with a native hedge, since the existing hedge is considered invasive.
I think the intent was any part of the existing hedge that was damaged irreparably for the project would be replaced with a native species.
Right.
Yes, that's what I
That was-
That's
recall.
And that was how I understood it.
Okay, we just should've-
I didn't represent this project previously. I'm stepping in on it. But that's how I recall when this project was transitioned to me, that it was anything that was removed would have to be replaced with the native. Certainly, I think that would still be agreeable to condition that's there now, and we're hoping not to change any of the conditions. Again, we're really hoping with this new design, though, that there's no disturbance there.
Well, hopefully it'll all be disturbed and get replaced, but that's just our perspective. So, yeah, if we all agree that that condition remains the same, then all to the good. So anyway, back to your original question, Jen. I personally think I can accept this being still being a plan change.
Yep. I think there's ways around it. We can determine that it's not a substantial alteration of the resource area, and so therefore it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, we can do that and put that in our vote, so that we're on the record of saying
Yep.
that we recognize this, but it's not as-
Technically speaking, you might argue the other way, but I think I can at least vote to remain a minor change.
And I always, with all of the plan changes, I always send out a letter summarizing, so
Okay.
will mention in there that so for future reference, when the COC comes up, and we do say, oh, there was disturbance in the,
Someone who's not here now, right, is
Yeah.
going to say, they put it in the resource area and it was, yeah.
yeah,
right,
so I'll write a letter.
That'll do it. As long as the record is clear
Yes.
that will not change. Okay.
All set? I'll make a motion that we approve the requested plan change for 12 Mistover Lane.
Williams, second.
Roll call vote, Bob,
Aye.
Janet,
Aye.
Cheryl,
Aye.
Elise,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
and I vote aye. So thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck with the hedge.
Thank you. All right, bye.
All right, next we have the order of conditions for 230 Stage Island Road, Deborah and Peter Nelson, trustees of the Stage Island Realty Trust, map 13A1, parcel 5, D27, SE10 3559, proposed additions and land management plan. I did send it to Thad. I don't know if he had any comments or if you all wanted to go first.
Well, since there's a break, that Eldridge here, East Southeast, I read through it, it looks fine to me.
I couldn't quite hear everything you said, Dad. Good.
Oh, it
Might be-
looks fine to me.
Oh, okay.
This is Jen Crawford. I actually had something that I wanted clarified as I read through the order.
Okay.
On page 11, under the section C for vegetation, landscaping, and mitigation planting, the first condition listed under there says clearing out vegetation or grubbing out of the work site, and then it has the time restriction between April 1st and September 1st. I wanted clarification if that was just for initial removal of vegetation, or if your intent was that that apply to any sort of maintenance or maintenance work, so to speak, of any areas that are being established.
No, I think it says clearing and grubbing is not permitted.
Okay.
And
Well,
that's
just
always been
because
my take on
sometimes,
this.
okay,
Yeah.
just sometimes in course of our maintenance work, we are, clipping and dripping some things that maybe got missed the first time or whatever. I just wanted to make sure that that we were provided clarification on that as to what the intent was. That's all.
Yeah, I think,
I mean, it's really just a bird thing.
It's the bird thing,
Yeah,
right?
so if it's just, clipping some
Technically speaking.
stuff that's popping up and things like that, I think I think it's fine.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Oh, and then I forgot to take out special resource areas not associated in the red, but I will do that before issuing.
I had no comments.
anybody down there? No?
I just had a quick question. Jen, no one really physically went out there to see the viburnums, huh?
I actually did not get out there, but we did make sure to add the notes on our plans that any of them that are viable within the area would be moved.
Yes.
So I covered it one way or another.
Okay, thank you. Other than that, I don't have anything else. Thank you.
Okay.
At first, no change.
Wow.
Wow. Save.
Let me see if I can find something. Hold on. Got to be something. Nope, can't find it. Nope.
Make a motion that we approve the order of conditions for 230 Stage Island Road.
Williams, second.
Roll call vote, Bob.
Aye.
Janet,
Aye.
Cheryl,
Aye.
Elise,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
and I vote aye.
All right, next we have the one certificate of compliance for 103 Woodland Way. Peter A. Fellman, map 12K, parcel HC37, SE103304, slope protection and living shoreline plantings. I went out there the other day and it looks really good out there. It's pretty well vegetated. There's a small section that some of the rock cobble is starting to show, so they just want an ongoing condition that they can continue, they can put a little sand over it and replant, and hopefully not continue to have to do it, but if it does start to show, they just want that ongoing condition. But it looks great, lots of variety, and she's really into butterflies and stuff, so it's all native vegetation, her butterflies everywhere, so it was a good property.
I can't tell you how happy that makes me. This is one that's within my memory. Like, usually the COCs, I don't know. But this one, I remember this was a living shoreline that was put in. It was one of the first ones that we looked at. So
Yeah.
to see that the project has been really successful just makes me so happy.
I don't know if they submitted pictures, but I'm sure they did. Yeah, they did, so I can pass those down and you guys can take a look at them.
Oh, great.
They're not color, so they're a little hard to tell what's going on exactly, but yeah, I recommend approval and it looks good.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the certificate of compliance for 103 Woodland Way.
Williams, second.
Roll call vote, Bob.
Aye.
Janet,
Aye.
Cheryl,
Aye.
Elise,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
and I vote aye.
All right, so then we have It's just our other business. I don't really have any violation updates. I was off last Friday, and then they're trying to get ready and for this meeting and finishing up last meeting. I didn't really get out to any sites, so I can add that to our next probably work session, just because the 27th is getting pretty long, I think. And then, yeah, we don't know where we stand on whether we're all virtual, or not all virtual, hybrid or all in person. I assume I'll have some answers fairly quickly. I would imagine the two branches that have different wording for the law will figure it out pretty quickly, I would imagine. But
Fortunately, we're off next week, so that gives us,
I mean, I honestly think they're going to throw something out on like Friday and say,
yeah.
this is extended till we get back or something
I
like that.
can't imagine there's very much opposition to
I don't think there is.
continuing the hybrid model.
I haven't heard
You know,
of
with the
any.
cases increasing too, again.
Yeah. So I think I'll know something probably by the end of the week or so. So I'll let you know. And then,
You asked me to put the revisions to the regulations in the Dropbox.
yeah, were we going to
I
talk?
did that, but it's not on the agenda. I was like,
Well, it-
is it?
Yeah, it's under other business,
Oh,
review
okay.
regulation changes. So it
Oh,
would be, it's
okay.
kind of just more of like a work session for us and not really comment for the public.
No, at some
So-
point, we need to put them out for public comment.
Right.
Maybe we can do that in August, because having them effective in September would be good as things ramp back up again. You know, because it says 75%
it does.
natives
It says many things.
in,
They say many
across,
things.
in the outer aura. So we will be kicking that stuff up.
Yeah, so I'd go through them now. I can set up a work session.
What do we have for the August work session?
Depends on how next
Oh, yeah.
meeting goes, but
Yeah, just Capri
so far,
Lane at
not
the
that
moment.
much.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know, whatever you guys want to do.
I wonder how much, well, first of all, putting it out for public comment, how does that look? How does that go? Just post it as an agenda item?
Yep.
Because we basically, I mean, we did that today, but technically speaking,
Yeah, so it would be, a public hearing, and then people, so we would have to distribute it to everybody, which I haven't done, so that's why
Right.
there's no one to comment.
They're still just in draft, so.
Yeah, so it was basically, what we need to do is, all of us need to agree that we like them, and then we present them as a public hearing, and get any comment and feedback from
well, let's,
public, and then we put it on again to vote officially.
yeah, let's spend a little time, let's just take a look. I mean, I don't know if people, when I went in there, I was the only one who had put commentary at that point in time. I don't know if everyone's had a chance to go through them in detail, or
I
they,
know we're probably going to want to have Karen's input too.
true.
Madam Meticulous.
Yes.
Does anybody have any comments on, really, something they think's really important that we get agreement on, or aside from, typos and grammar and all that, which I'm sure is perfect?
Yeah.
I don't, do you want to, is there anything you just want to maybe summarize what was?
Yeah, well, since I'm opening my mouth, I did have some stuff to say, I think, about the variances document and about plastics, yes, that's right.
That's out there as a unresolved, right?
Yeah. What do people think about the plastics? Say what you will.
I just, with that, like the through flow and all that kind of stuff, we just don't have the evidence to say that it does leach. I mean,
That's the problem.
Yeah.
It's a new product, these
Nor-
extruded.
Nor do we have evidence that it doesn't.
right,
Right, but we have significant evidence that shading is the #1 cause of decline of eelgrass and submarine vegetation. And once that starts to go, it has a knock-on effect to the whole resource area, so,
So the question is, does the through flow provide significantly more?
yes. That's why, because it's
Even if
it's
you have
just
the
a
spacing-
weave.
Even if you have the spacing in the wooden deck or the,
It's much better.
much better?
I think so. But the things I looked at said it the best a wooden deck can get to is about 40%. And that's using the widest possible, like
You
inch,
specify
3/4 to an inch between the planks. But the planks themselves are planks. So the through flow can achieve up to 63% light penetration, which is way better than 40.
Up to,
Depends on how thick
depends on how it's
the design of
oriented.
it, right.
Yeah.
Now, the way we could get around it is we've seen that kind of a mesh design with metal rather than the extruded.
Yes, much
But,
prefer, yeah.
well, people look at that and they think, catwalk above a sewage treatment plant is what that looks like. And, which is, it's very industrial looking and I think the zoning board would have a problem with the aesthetics.
I think we're getting a lot of pushback from people
Yeah.
aesthetically.
Ooh,
Who? Oh, Mary.
I'm sorry.
And because it's seasonal, I mean, it's not a perfect thing, 100%, but it's seasonal, so it comes out, and they're not going to put it back in if it's falling apart. So it's not like chunks of plastic are generally going to, again, not 100%, some people may, but in general, chunks of plastic aren't going to like float off of it and things like that, because they're going to get it repaired or get a new one.
right.
Go to put it back.
But the real risk in this kind of plastic is that it degrades really slowly and microplastic
Yeah.
is shed. That's the risk we're worried about, but we have not yet found, no one's studied it so far that we can find. I keep looking.
Yeah, they don't know exactly.
Yeah, is there any study though, relative to like, the kayaks, are scraping plastic into the
Yeah, that's true,
marshes?
they're plastic too. There's
On
a
a
lot of
constant
plastic.
basis, where does this lead to? I mean, at what
Right.
point do we say, oh, no, you can't put a kayak in, you can't? I'm
We
just,
don't have any jurisdiction over kayaks. But we do have jurisdiction over the,
yeah, no, all right. No,
so,
point,
But it's the same principle.
I'm just worried that we're headed down a slippery slope that,
I think you're headed down many slippery slopes, but this is, I think, a good slippery slope in my
Okay.
own view. Plastics, we know what plastics are now. Over the last 20 years, the evidence has become clear. Why are we, in my opinion, enabling putting plastics into resource areas? They will degrade by definition.
Right.
They have to degrade. There's no evidence to say that they won't. So if there are alternatives, and there are alternatives, mostly more expensive, one reason that the through flow is so popular is it's dirt cheap, just like anything made out of plastic. But that doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. So you can see how I feel about it, but, yeah, we'll have to come to some sort of agreement on it. And there's no reason to enable it when there are alternatives, I think. Plastics in wetlands, bad idea. You can make a Kevlar kayak. Let's just continue the kayak analogy. And you can build kayaks out of other materials. Way, way more expensive. I happen to know this for a fact. I'm a kayaker. Should there be a law prohibiting plastic kayaks? I don't know. But all I know is that I had an epiphany on this a couple of years ago, and nothing I've seen or read has changed my mind. That it's just a matter of convenience. It's a matter of convenience and cost. And it's the only reason people want it.
No, I disagree.
Okay, there is,
I-
all right,
because I-
the manufacturer claims there's more light coming through.
Yeah.
I agree with that. But
did Woods Hole ever do this study? I thought they were gonna do a study on. No,
On
haven't
through
seen
flow?
it? Yeah, on through flow.
Oh, I
Or
hadn't heard
just
Yeah.
No, okay. I haven't looked.
You know, the easy answer is just to impose a categorical prohibition on catwalks in resource areas.
It's not actually maybe too far off.
It's not that too far off.
Various boards, I haven't heard anything about it recently, but I know
It's being worked
Water's
on.
Way people are getting pretty mad that how often they're being used as piers and.
Right,
Oh, yes.
yeah.
They're really not catwalks, yeah.
Right. And I think we've reached the point, we've had enough of them now where we can, that's what I tried to put in here about, you know, the argument that it's less damaging than people trudging through the salt marsh. So that's why I included this whole list of what you look at. Because it's not true in every case. And the one that opened our eyes was the one down on Stage Harbor.
Yeah.
You know, where they've been using it, they've been walking through the marsh for 40 years and there's no damage whatsoever. And the other people wanted to put a catwalk on. And they used the same arguments, less damaging. And I'm standing there going, I don't see any damage. So, but I do know that there are some boards in town that are working on trying to get everybody on board to prohibit them.
Well, if we drag our feet long enough, then
Well,
the problem will take care of itself.
yeah, I mean, we could just, it's the only part of the catwalk regulation that, you know, is unclear to me or gives me pause.
Yes.
We could just punt on that one and leave it and not put it in and fight on a case-by-case basis, pushing
Could do
people.
that, yeah.
And then hope that
Or we could also
either get a study that gives us the evidence that we need about the impacts of these things, or the prohibition gets put into place, and then we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, we could just fight it in the trenches.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least I could fight it in the trenches.
Acknowledging that part of the effort of doing this is to avoid, you know, to get more clarity up front so that we're not fighting every time.
We could always say they're discouraged for the following reasons.
Okay, you want to try it, you
Not
want to
say
take a
that-
hand at that and
And
put
not say
that
that
in
they're
there?
outright prohibited.
Okay. I mean, I've seen that in other regulations in other towns, saying the commission prefers this, which sends a signal, and prefers that they not use these materials. We could do that.
Yeah, if you say, you know, it's discouraged or we prefer, then
Yeah.
the engineers know that it's going to be a fight and they can.
Well, not
Trying-
they also know that it's not prohibited. You know,
But they
so,
know they're going to have a lot of questions.
They'll
and
have questions
they
at least
wanna
from one
Fight
person.
that battle,
Yeah.
or, you know, or just go ahead and suggest the other options.
actually, I think I like the idea of just leaving that altogether.
Okay. That is the easiest thing of all.
What else? Variances, I had added a bunch of stuff. I had comments, questions about the variance language. This is the part, to me, it's really the Achilles heel of our entire process. And that is, you know, the criteria that are listed in section B for the variances are, I don't, for me, they're not really getting to where I think we need to get. So, number 2, for example, says, project is conditioned so that it contributes to the protection of. I think that's sort of weak T.
Contribute can be anything.
It could be anything, yeah. It can be, you know, contributed 0.01%, and contributed, and is that, it needs to be,
Significantly contributes or it significantly furthers the protection.
you know, I put a little note to the side over there, mitigation needs to permanently outweigh the project impact. And that's where I'm trying to go, and plus with that second comment that I have there, no overall permanent adverse impact. In other words, how we stop trading hardscape for impermanent mitigation, which we do all the time.
Which, yeah, because there's no alternative. I mean, I can't find, ever since Dee Dee first started banging this drum, it's been in my head, you know, how do we, if someone wants to put hardscape, they're putting in a patio in the no disturb zone. You know, how do you balance that permanent for permanent? I mean, Dee Dee's point was always make them take some hardscape out. And, but, you know, that's an uphill battle that I don't see us winning. I think the answer lies in where we've been moving toward, which is making the vegetation protections permanent.
Yes.
So that even though it's vegetation, which may die next year, whatever, it's a continuing condition in the order of conditions that they maintain that native vegetation forever.
Yeah.
As long as the impact is there. And if they want to stop doing that, they pull out the pool and the patio and they can stop doing it. But so long as the impact is permanent, the mitigation needs to be too. So maybe the answer is in going a little even further and beefing that up more and put it in the regulation. We have it in the order template. Maybe we should add it in here as well, so that people are on notice that this is a permanent
Your
obligation.
mitigation is forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I might have, it might be in the mitigation section. I think I did put that in there. I signed. Let's see. Mitigation.
Well,
It just says must be allowed to naturalize in perpetuity. It's not as specific as the,
Yeah, I would add it in.
yeah.
I don't, you mentioned significantly contributes. I don't like that word because it's up for interpretation, just because I remember past docs I've had to listen to, and there was a Harwich regulation that said shall not be placed in significant shellfish habitat, but no one could say what's significant.
It's a lawyer's trick. You can put in reasonable, you can put in significant, there's all kinds of adverbs that you throw in that give you
well,
room to
but that's why I
maneuver.
put in the sentence, even though I don't know how to work it in, the mitigation needs to permanently outweigh the project impact. It needs on balance to actually mitigate.
Yeah, I think we can add that. Mitigation must permanently compensate for the impacts of the project. Why not? I think that's what we've been talking about.
It is.
What's the ratio of the mitigation to the hardscape? Is there a ratio, or is it,
Yep, and it depends on where it is.
Depends on where it is, yeah, but that's in the.
It's in the
it's
mitigation.
in there already?
Yep,
Perfect, yep.
Yeah, so it can be 1-to-1, 2-to-1, 3-to-1.
I just
don't
got
think
there.
we go up to 4-to-1, do we?
I got it.
Not yet.
I just had to scroll further.
And so similarly, with number 3 of the criteria, no adverse impact. I would argue no permanent adverse impact.
that's what's intended.
That's true, because there
Yeah.
is going to be, if you bulldoze a lot, then there's going to be impact, so.
Right, permanent is better. Okay.
But do you think you should mention that mitigation is intended to be permanent?
Yep.
In the preamble?
Yep, I'm putting it in. Yep.
And then in the, I'll let you, whenever you're done, Jen.
I'm ready.
Okay, in the mitigations document,
Yep.
toward the end, for some reason, that the duplicate 2-to-1 is still there, it just won't go away. So I'm just going to point it out again.
Oh, look at that.
Just-
Trees
it's
with-
just like a bad penny, it won't go
Yeah, all
away
right, try it again. There, save, done.
forever.
We'll see if it holds this time.
I don't know what it is. And anybody else? I think those are where of course, you're going to go in and fill in sections, or section references when it
Yeah,
all settles
I
down.
started, so you saw I made the table of contents.
Yeah.
So I started assigning section numbers, and then it occurred to me that there were sections that we may do later, so I just indicated them as reserved, like septic systems, if we decide to try to take a, take a swing at doing that.
And that's all I had. So, public hearing.
Anybody else have changes? Good?
Nikki,
Yes.
I know you said you hadn't followed up on some of the violations. When I went over to, over by Monomoy, that Morris Island Road, what number is it?
The-
314?
Yeah.
With the shed and everything, that's still the way it's always been.
I went by
heard they
yesterday.
moved the
The
shed.
shed is gone.
Yeah.
The shed is
Is it gone,
gone.
gone, or is it just moved?
Gone. No, I didn't see a shed there anywhere.
Am I looking at the right place?
I didn't get out of the car, but I know where the shed was. They were right at the end of that little path that comes off of Morris Island Road. But the garden is still there.
So there's a shed, so when you come down Morris Island Road going toward the wildlife place, there's the driveway into 314, and then there's a garden with all sorts of netting.
Yeah, that's a.
Is that the one we're
No,
talking about?
No,
Okay.
that garden was.
It's further
approved.
down.
And then there's a shed beyond that garden too.
Yes, that's a different
So
garden.
that's
That was
all
approved.
different. The other
Yeah.
one is
Was a-
what's gone.
Yep.
Thank you.
But he hasn't taken out all the chicken wire and stuff like that is there still around in the
Yeah,
garden.
Garden season.
basically the same update as last time. I talked to the lawyer and I talked to, I can't remember who the representative is now. Or maybe I just talked to his lawyer, but they're working on it.
Okay,
That's what I've heard.
okay.
Oh.
How tough is it? We have a couple of choices in August. We can add it on to one of the hearings, or we have 2 August Wednesdays
Talking about
with,
the regs now.
yeah, back to that. There are 2 August Wednesdays that aren't scheduled.
Yeah, so we
anything.
have the work session on the 3rd, a meeting on the 10th. We're free on the 17th, meeting on the 24th, and free on the 31st.
It's up to you, Janet, since you have to whip them into shape.
Well, I don't have any, there's not much to do right now,
All right.
yeah. We don't know until we get I don't want to do the 31st if we're aiming for a September effective date, because if we do get significant comments, then it's going to have to be, we'll have to do some editing. So maybe the 17th?
I would say the 17th for public comment, and then we vote to approve them on the 24th with any provisions that happen the week before.
All right.
So I think it's over to you, Bob. I don't know if you heard that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Make a motion?
Yeah.
Make a motion that we review the regulation changes on August 17th, 2022.
William, second.
Roll call vote. Bob,
Aye.
Janet,
Aye.
Cheryl,
Aye.
Elise,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
and I vote aye.
All right. Other than
Oh, I
that,
didn't put the table of contents in the Dropbox. Oh. No wonder I can't find it. I'll drop it in there. It's easier, it helps to see it, how it's all going to lay out and relate to each other.
Okay. Are we done with other business?
The only other thing was the One Cape seminar, if you want to call it that. It's a 2-day thing. If for those of you who haven't heard about it, it's at Wauquasit. They have a bunch of public speakers and cover all sorts of topics, and then, they have large group sessions and then breakout sessions and everything. So it's 2 all-day things. So if you want to sign up for it, you can pick either day. I don't have an agenda yet. Janet seemed to have heard that day 2 is more relevant to us. But you can do both if you want. So just let Crystal or she's out of town next week, but, so probably let me know.
August 1st and 2nd. It's always good. It's the Cape Cod Commission. It's their annual conference. But they did tell me giddy up about getting your registration done because they're expecting it to sell out.
Yeah, they have a website.
They
so
could
if
just
you
be saying that for marketing purposes, who knows?
But if you Google One Cape, you can probably find the agendas and stuff from past meetings and see if it's anything you might be interested in. Probably try and let me know by tomorrow so I can have Crystal do it instead of myself.
Do you know what the mask deal is there?
I have no idea.
I just was at a event at the Wauquasit last week, and there wasn't the mask in sight.
Yeah. I mean, the B5 variant is taken off.
Yeah, I know
So-
Wauquasit's not requiring them. I don't know.
I've got super duper immunity,
Commission
so I don't care.
Yeah, apparently B5 doesn't care.
I know, I heard that. I can't believe it. I suffered through that stupid thing and don't even get super duper
Right.
immunity as a
It's
result.
just all
Boo.
for nothing, all for nothing. So I'm a little worried about it, but I think other than that, I might go, but for me, it's not the time.
They are not trying to do it. I asked about a hybrid, and she said they're not going to try. That's too hard.
Okay. All right, so,
All right, yep, just shoot me or preferably Crystal an email sometime tomorrow and we'll get people registered.
Okay.
But Jenny, you think the second day is when?
Yeah, the first day, my understanding from talking to folks at the Cape Cod Commission is that the first day is really focused on equity and diversity in housing and in other, and there's a lot of housing stuff too on the first day. So the second day is much more of the environmental stuff and the municipal stuff. But they still haven't put the agenda out, so I don't, you know, that's what they said.
The website,
Yeah,
it's
there's
not
no
there.
agenda.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Williams, second.
we have a second. Roll call vote, Bob,
Aye.
Janet,
Aye.
Cheryl,
Aye.
Elise,
Aye.
Mary.
Aye.
I vote aye. So, almost 2 hours.